Welcome to the UMBC Coaches Corner. I'm your host, Steve Levy. As always, we want to really thank the students of the MCS 395 class. They're doing all the work, making myself, it's a little difficult, look good, and also head coach Leslie Ray of women's soccer. Also thanks to Bill Shoebridge for getting this all together as we air our second season of Coaches Corners. With that said, we bring in head women's soccer coach Leslie Ray. And Leslie, this year we've kind of been talking more personally about the coaches and their backgrounds, try to get a little bit more interesting. Talk about how you were introduced to the game of soccer at the age you were and, obviously ended up playing collegiately. Tell me how it all kind of got started.
I was young. I was the youngest of 3 kids, and so I did everything my brother and sister did. They were involved in a CYO league through our church, and is a church organization, and started that way. And went into a club team called Hartford United, and at that time you had to drive pretty far. We would drive an hour to practice, which isn't much different from what they're doing now. But we traveled around to different clubs and different tournaments, but had a wonderful time with that. Had a great experience through high school playing club soccer, high school soccer, and decided that that I wanted to take the next step and go collegiately. And really excited, and had a great opportunity to go to University of Maryland and play for April Heinrichs, who was fantastic and such a great motivator for me. And so that was, a great experience for me to be able to be a student athlete at a high level, right, and play the game that I loved.
Now, so obviously you did have an outstanding career at Maryland. When did the coaching bug start to, bite you? And when did you think this is something you might want to make a career out of?
Yeah, it all kind of blends together, doesn't it? I wasn't sure. I was a sociology major and really kind of figuring out what I wanted to do with the next step after graduation. But, April would tell us that she would help us get into coaching if that was something that we wanted to do. And, I went into her one day and was like, hey, I want to do this. She gave me a name of some local clubs that were interviewing. And so, which is funny, I went in for this local interview to be their club coach, and straight out of college. I'm maybe 21. And it's a room full of parents, and they're just grilling me with these questions. And I'm like, no, I would sit them, and it's about winning, and just probably all the wrong things to say for a youth team. But one of the parents, liked my interview and was like, well, hey, we'll hire you to be at a hotel with us. And so my first job right out of college was at a hotel in D.C. And I said, you know what? I spent, a year there and said, this isn't for me, and had an opportunity to be an assistant coach at Towson University, which was right up the street. Right. And I took a significant pay cut. And then from there, just started with the career. And I knew as soon as I got into collegiate coaching, that's what I wanted to do.
So then you became head coach at Towson for several years, and then married and motherhood took over, 3 children. When did you start to realize that, I realize this is a heck of a lot of responsibility being the mother of 3, but I do want to get back into coaching?
Yeah. It was interesting, and I remember the week vividly of sitting down, and I had 2 of my oldest kids were in kindergarten, and I had the youngest in preschool, and kind of like, all right, what am I going to do next? And I was checking the local scores of the college, schedules, and would check on Towson and UMBC often, and I'm like, UMBC's right. And so it kind of clicked that right, UMBC's not far away. I may be able to do both. I mean, when I left coaching, when I was at Towson, I kind of just told myself, well, this is it. I don't think I can ever get back into the game. But knowing some of the difficulty the program had here, and not sure what they were looking for, thought that I would have a good opportunity. One, that I'm local, I'm close, and I had 8 years of college coaching underneath my belt. Right. I think that would put me above some of the other candidates. And so really excited. I mean, I think it was probably a leap of faith that, the athletic director at that time, Charlie Brown, took to hire someone that had been out of the game for 5 years.
Right.
But glad he did.
Right. You and Steve Campbell obviously have turned the program around. Did the championship a couple years ago, last year, right there at the end. What would, for you, if you can put your finger on one or two keys for turning the program around, what might they be?
We talk a lot to our team, even now, about discipline and accountability. And so I think just coming in and putting just very strict measures on what they needed to do. And first, starts with the fitness and having the discipline to be able to be fit on your own. So I think just giving players control over what they can control, I think that helped. And we had fantastic leaders the last couple of years, and going into this year too. And I think right now we're at a point where we have to go back to basics. Let's talk about our discipline. Let's talk about our competitiveness. So those core values that we've had from the start are still with the program. And even in our first year when we just won a game, that was our message. Our message has still stayed the same.
I'll bring it up to present time, and as this show is probably airing, you're probably right at the tail end of your season, but a lot of youth on this year's team. You guys have been so close so many times, but tell me a couple things, tell the fans a couple things you really like about the 2015 team.
And I've always been impressed with this program, with the response that they've given. And we have had some heartbreakers this season, heartbreakers. And the fact that, at this point when we're 3 games into our conference schedule and we haven't lost them, that today was probably one of the best practices we've had in a long time. We're really putting a lot of pressure and a lot of accountability on our leadership. And sometimes that's coming from our seniors, but also coming from players where we didn't expect. I think one player in specific is Gabby Bamer, has really stepped up this year in being a leading scorer, but in taking accountability for her own, her own work rate and for her play. So, impressed with that. Really, excited to see, that you probably know at this point, but where it takes us. We have 5 games left in our season, in our conference schedule right now, and right now it could go anywhere. So.
Well, Leslie, we really appreciate the visit today. Best of luck the rest of the way, and let's hope we're in that America East tournament once again and do great things there.
I hope so. Thanks.
Once again, the UMBC, the home schedule ends a little bit early this year in mid-October, so if we're airing and you missed that, just please check out what the Retrievers are doing on umbcretrievers.com. For the UMBC Coaches Corner, I'm Steve Levy.